Upright bipedal apes might still be walking on this earth today. Stick to the screen. Another Friday, another episode. Here we are again. Thank you so much for watching. Let's dive in directly into the community comments. Yeah, and as last week, still no comments today. Guys, we really need some comments in the comment section down below. So put something down below. It doesn't matter. If you agree, if you don't agree, let's see. Let's see if we can get this discussion going. Let's see if we can get it flowing, all right? Okay. I do, however, have a comment from someone who spoke to me off screen, off of YouTube, and they said, wait, I saw your show, and wait, I don't understand. Are you against evolution, or you don't believe in evolution? And let me set this clear. I'm not an idiot. I'm not some flat Earth guy, who doesn't believe in anything and who's just grinding against the rails or anything. No, I definitely believe in evolution. I have said two things, and those are two things that I'm sticking by for now. And one of those things is I don't believe that we came from apes. And I'm sticking to that, and we're gonna dive a little bit deeper into that and why I believe that. And you might have your mind changed if you do believe that we come from apes. All that I'm saying is keep an open mind. You don't know what you might find here on the show. And the other thing that I said is we have never observed evolution in practice, and that is true. There's no scientific report of us having found evolution in process. Yeah, what we found is we have found varieties. We have seen that the species adapted to an environment that was before, and then an environment that happened after. But it's still the same species. There's not a change in the species. The species didn't transmute or transform into something else. So I'll tell you right away what I'll believe. What I believe is I believe in punctuated equilibrium as opposed to gradualism. Gradualism means that everything happens slowly over millions and millions of years, and slowly the species transforms into something else. I believe it happens more with intervals, and I believe that with us humans, well, we're an exception to that case as well. But that's for a show somewhere far in the future. For now, let's stick to this topic of evolution today. And that brings me right into our main subject of today. And our main subject of today is humanoid apes. Yes, we're looking at the same Ascent of Man image that we looked at last image, but today we are going to focus on the part that we skipped last episode, and that is the big apes. Yes, the big apes. And I should clarify what I did last week, because I've made a mistake. What I said is I used the word hominin basically for everything that resembles the genus Homo. Everything it's inside the genus Homo. I used the word hominin because I thought that's what the actual usage is. However, I found out that also for the upright bipedal walking apes, they also use the word hominin, except the species is called either Paranthropus or Australopithecus. So, it's confusing. The scientists, they make it very confusing. But for you, I'm going to make it easy. So what we're going to talk about today is basically the apes in blue. these apes. These we're gonna talk about these. These are the bipedal upwalking apes that are also classified as hominin, but are particularly different. So yeah, they're different from their ape ancestors, such as where also the chimpanzee and the gorilla and the orangutan come from. But they are walking upright like us, and that's understandably that people think that we might have come from there. It's not illogical. However, it is illogical if you dive in a little bit deeper. And with that, I want to dive into our first clip, which is a presentation by the Smithsonian National History Museum, and it's a presentation by Ashley Hammond. Let's have a look, and let's see if we can figure out some stuff.
I'd like to just take a moment and contextualize these three earliest hominin contenders alongside some key landmark events in ape and human evolution. So I guess on this slide, the first thing to be aware of is the scale during which ape and human evolution is taking place. So on the timeline, the x-axis, if you will, we have millions of years. Okay, so we're showing 30 million years ago up until present. And we can even add in geological time periods. So these might be names that you're familiar with already. So in particular, here we're interested in the Miocene, Pliocene, and Pleistocene. Okay, so apes are estimated to have evolved actually quite a long time ago, 25 million years ago, more or less. The last common ancestor of the chimpanzee and hominin lineages, though, is estimated to have lived quite a bit more recently, at about 7 million years ago. Okay, so 7 million years ago would place the last common ancestor of the chimpanzee and hominin lineages in this time period called the Miocene. Okay, so that's being represented by the purple on screen. Now, our three early hominin contenders do indeed come from this time period in the latest Miocene. Okay, the earliest hominins are appearing 7, 6, and 5.8 million years ago. Okay, but this early record for hominins is actually quite sparse, right? We just have these three contenders at that time period. And the hominin fossil record gets really rich shortly thereafter. So it's starting with Australopithecus that we see a lot of species appear. Australopithecus is then sort of rapidly followed by genus Homo. And then the bulk of the hominin fossil record that we know of is coming from these later time periods. Okay, so the Pliocene and Pleistocene. In terms of a geological scale, the Pliocene and Pleistocene are actually fairly recent. Okay, these are fairly recent times. But it's important, I think, one thing that I really want everyone who's attending this talk today to leave the talk aware of. We cannot lose sight of the fact that hominins evolved from some extinct species of fossil ape. Okay, and the fossil ape record is really, really rich and really diverse during the Miocene period. Okay, there were probably more than 100 species of ape alive during the Miocene. And the fossil record for apes tapers off right around the same time that hominins appear. Probably the changing environment, the increased aridity in Africa probably made the environment less hospitable for apes during that time period. But the Miocene is when apes ruled. Okay, so you can kind of consider the Miocene to be the planet of the apes.
You are familiar with the concept of evolution? That is the human label, yes? The advancement that I crave requires time. Vast amounts of time that I do not have.
He doesn't have the time. And that's understandable because, right away, we can see how long apes have existed. You can see the ape fossil record in the timeline because, let's accept the timeline. And how recent that they started walking upright. I mean, it's basically, you have 15 million years of ape evolution, and then in like 5 million years, they go to an abstract thinking, upright walking, art creating, tool using, sentient being. I mean, I think that's, for now, let's keep that in mind. Let's keep in mind how quickly we have come from apes all the way to what they now say is human. And we're gonna cut away the human part, and we're just gonna focus on the first bipedal ape, and they called her Lucy. Now, let's dive into Lucy.
Lucy is very famous. Everybody should know her story. Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, 1974, Afar Valley, Ethiopia, discovered by Donald Johanson and his team. She is the first of the so-called pre-humans. They are the Australopithecines, and she is one of the first types. Now, what we know from her is a remarkable amount because we have 40% of her body recovered. With mirror imaging, that gives us 80%. So much more than any other fossil at the time. It was just amazing. So we know a lot about her. She stood about 3 feet 6 inches to 3 feet 8 inches tall. Very diminutive relative to us. But her bones, all of her bones, are much more robust than ours. Her upper arm bone here, for example, which is much longer than ours would be if it was a human that size. This arm bone would end about right here. Also, it would be about that thick. So we can see she's much more robust than we are in all of her dimensions. She has the head of a chimpanzee, which we cannot tell from her skull, as you can see, but from others like her. Head of a chimpanzee. But we do know that she walks upright because we have her hip joint and her pelvis, and we have particularly her knee joint, all of which are amazingly human. So we know she walked upright, no question about it. She was an upright walking creature. Just didn't have bones that looked anything like ours, or a head for that matter. Now, one other thing I want to point out about this is the people that are paid to go out and find these fossils, these pre-human fossils, are paid to find pre-human fossils. So what they do is they fudge it every way they can to make them look human, and they always have problems with the arms. Because all the arms of the pre-humans are too long from here to here, from shoulder to elbow relative to us. So if you notice, what they did is they fudged this way up beyond where it ought to be to get this up here, so they could get the fingertip down around mid-thigh, when in reality it belongs down around here.
Now, he's not wrong. By the way, if you don't know who this is Lord Pye, Lloyd Pye. He's the same guy who presented the Star Child skull in the previous episode. He also did a thing about these bipedal hominids, and he's right. I mean, this if you look at a picture on the right, it kind of looks like, well, that could be a human if you haven't studied, if it's not your subject, if you think like, well, I've seen the skeleton at the doctor's office, this kind of looks like it, I can imagine it, but let's look at a fully articulated skeleton. So this is one from the Cleveland Natural History Museum, and if you look at where the fingers actually are, they're almost at the knees. Now, I don't know where your fingers are at, but they're not as far down. I mean, I've seen a guy once. He worked like at a carnival, and he was the guy who, when you're on a swing, he was the guy who like pulls you and like you go up higher. And I mean, he had quite long arms, but it's. I mean, if he got a different job like spearfishing in in the South Pacific Ocean. He might have developed webs between his feet. You know, like I said, we adapt. We become different varieties that way. But it's quite a stretch, let's say, to just get longer arms, just like that. So yeah, it's a good topic, and there's quite a good idea about what it entails to have longer arms like that for a species. It completely changes the way that you move, and we can actually we in this case Hollywood actually helps us. Let's look at how Hollywood looks at having arms like this.
And you have your gorillas that are much more, they like punch the ground. They're very stabbing, and they stab the ground, they pull their legs along. And there's a bravado and a posturing that happens a lot with gorillas. And then the chimps are much more wiry. They're much more... So, yeah, there's this real quick little demo.
Yeah, so that's how you create a human-ape hybrid. I mean, Hollywood does it best. Okay, let's look into another section of Lord Pye, because I think he has a little bit more to say.
All right, here's the drawing that shows it a little more accurately what the pre-humans are vis-a-vis the humans. Notice that in the drawings the hands are down pretty much where they belong relative to ours. Also notice the rib cages are the upside down funnels of primates in the pre-humans as opposed to ours. What's the situation there? Well, you can't tell it very well from here, but all of the pre-human heads are stuck on their bodies like that, the way primates are. Their heads are down in on their shoulders. Only we have that elevated neck sticking our head up off of our torso. They also have that extra arm length and that extra power, and so they need a bigger fulcrum up here to wing their arms and do what they have to do. So all of that extra muscle mass plus the head torque down in there squeezes out the room, and so you're going to get that pinched off triangle that primates have. And we, with our shorter, lighter arms and lighter bones, we don't need all that muscle mass, and we got our heads sticking up, so we have a completely different rib cage. I want you to understand that. Now, the main thing to understand here is there is not a single human bone in the so-called pre-human fossil record. The main thing I want you to understand, there's not a single human bone in the so-called pre-human fossil record. And guess what? Anthropologists will not argue the point with you. An idiot can see it. An idiot can see it. All you got to do is point it out to them. Well, they know that. So they say, you're right, you're right. There's not a single human bone in the pre-human fossil record, even though we insist that these are indeed pre-humans. The reason we can get away with this is because we're going to put somebody right in here that's going to show a transition between these guys, and that is the missing link, the famous missing link. You've all heard about that. This is what it is. This is the thing that's going to stand right in here and miraculously show a smooth transition from this to this. Well, I tell you what, if the missing link was here today, he would need about 20 or 30 cousins standing right beside him, showing enough gradual transition to make this plausible. You don't just get one missing link. You need dozens to make this theory work of gradual transition, the Darwinian paradigm. And they don't even have so much as a fingernail, not a fingernail, of the missing link.
They don't. And I mean, we've been looking for the missing link for 165 years. Now, that's more than two old ladies living back to back. That's like in the time when they were starting to look for the missing link. That was the time when slavery was still around. So at some point you just gotta say, like, maybe we should, let go of the old theory and maybe hypothesize something different. Maybe reevaluate how we think that it happens. But this theory is so prominent that they just keep saying, like, well, the missing links, they must be there, and if we cannot find the missing links, well, that means that there's just apparently there's no fossils of that missing link, or maybe we just haven't found them yet, or maybe they're not there at all. So yeah, with this kind of arguing, you can always get away with the gap that is in between the upright walking apes and the upright walking, as I would say, hominids, or the species of the Homo genus. So let's look at this. So we have, for instance, here, we have in the middle, we have a baby Australopithecus. It's a Australopithecus africanus, although I'm not quite sure, if you're looking at a baby skull, how you can actually tell that it's the species Africanus. But there's probably someone smart out there who can tell me. So if you're the kind of person who knows why it can be classified as an Africanus, then leave a comment down below, and you got to come up with something better. Well, it's found in that area. Well, I mean, of course we understand that. But yeah, if you look at that, it's a remarkable fossil, by the way. It's found with the brain intact and everything. It's remarkable, but it looks very much like a baby chimp. It's the baby chimp. I put an image of it next to it. It's almost, it's like a bigger version of the baby chimp. And if you look at a human baby, which is, and if you're gonna find comparisons somewhere, it must be in the basic setup, right? I mean, I can imagine if you find like a dog pup and a wolf pup, like from a German Shepherd and a wolf, that at that moment you might not be exactly sure if for the untrained eye, because they might look so similar. And I mean, if already the pups, if they already look like a massive difference, like if you're looking at a pup from a Great Dane or a Chihuahua, you obviously can tell the difference, between that and a wolf. So right away we can see that there's something not quite aligned here. And if we keep looking at these images, so let's for instance look at these mock-ups that are in the Natural History Museum of Vienna. These are Australopithecines, and they're almost portrayed very human-like. It's almost like they want us to associate this and the species that came after, which historically would have been a Homo habilis that we talked about in a previous episode. And we talked about how they made Homo habilis kind of look like very, very ape-like, and they make this Australopithecus make them look very, very human-like, very, very relatable, very likable. And I think that's on purpose. I think there's a reason behind it, and I think we should have a better look at it. What is it that we're actually looking at? Is it that the skull shape? What does it actually look like? Oh. Let's have a look.
As I said, these are the first four of the Australopithecines, and Lucy is one of the first kind, Australopithecus afarensis. We have Africanus, we have Robustus, we have Boise. All right? We have basically a pair of upright walking chimpanzees upright walking gorillas. You can see that, length of face, width of face, and sagittal crest, which modern gorillas have. It's a ridge of bone where their muscles attach to the tops of their heads. So from 4 million years ago to approximately 2 million years ago, we have a pair of upright walking chimps, a pair of upright walking gorillas, and that's it.
And that's it. We could basically classify the species that we found so far as either a category of upright walking chimp or upright walking gorilla. And the most defining feature that we've found so far is the sagittal crest that the gorillas, the Paranthropus, that they found on the top of their head. I mean, this is I think a valid way to look at it. Now there might be lots of people who do a lot of studies against that, who have their career based on this. You might disagree, and hey, I think I'm free to speculate what I think, and you're free to put down your scientific knowledge in the comments, and we'll take a look at it. And you'll definitely, if you do this and you have this knowledge, you will definitely end up in the comment section. We don't discriminate. We're just here to explore what could possibly explain how we got here. And yeah, this show is called The Paradigm Shift. So I kind of expect that you can kind of shift your focus a little bit, have an open mind, and maybe you don't have to go along with me, but hear me out. But first, we got our sponsor. And for our sponsor today, we have, again, Organica CBD. Organica CBD, we're so happy that they're sponsoring us, and we're very proud of their product, and we're proud that we can share this product with you. It's a fantastic product. I use it myself. I use it kind of to relax on certain moments, to just get the stress off. If I'm feeling a little bit anxious, I kind of like wanna take down the anxiety. I kind of use the CBD in that kind of case, but there's way more applications for it than just anxiety and sleep disorder. And I've written some down. So one of the most common things that it's known for as of 2013 is with a girl from the United States. She was 3 years old, and she was having these massive epileptic seizures, and the doctors had no real answer for it, and the parents decided that they would give her CBD oil. And as you know, CBD oil, there's no reason that you would actually get high from it, or there's no side effects from it. So they started trying it on a 3-year-old, and yeah, she had a difficult life, but she had a happy life. Recently, she died at 13 years old, but she managed to live through that life with the CBD oil. So please, if you're in this kind of situation and you're not sure what to do with it, check out the CBD oil. It can be used for a lot of different things. Now make sure I'm not a doctor, so always check with your doctor if you're sure. But if you're dealing with either epilepsy or anxiety or multiple sclerosis, if you're in a stadium of cancer, it can treat your pain and your nausea. There's for elderly people, it can be used for Parkinson's, it can be used for arthritis. There's even if you have like a tobacco addiction, or maybe you have like a drinking issue, CBD oil will take the edge off. It will not push you further. It will kind of alleviate those cravings for you. I've even heard some people say that it works with food, which is logical because there's also a little bit of oil in there, and your system, it will process the oil. So if you want to try it out, if you feel like, well, maybe I've got a reason to go there. I mean, there's a whole range of products. Organica-cbd.com. You can get them in different percentages. You can get them 10%. You can get them in 20%. You can get them in 30%. It's a very clean product. There's no extra additives to it. It's just the CBD and the oil. It's a very cool product. Go check them out. If you go there, you're not only helping yourself get healthier, you're not only helping the producer to get more sales and to stay alive, you're also helping the show alive. So go there, go to cbd-organica.com, enter the code Paradigm Shift at checkout, let them know who sent you, and let's return to our regular programming. Okay, so last episode, you've heard me say that there are no myths or legends of any native people that tell that we come from apes, that we have descended from apes. And as far as I know, that's true. If you know otherwise, then I'm happy to learn. But as far as I know, that's definitely true. However, there are myths that have big apes in them. There are ape-like beings in stories of old, and for that, if we want to go there, we need to go to Prambanan Temple. So Prambanan Temple is in Indonesia, and you might recognize it. Looks a little bit like Angkor Wat in Cambodia, and however, it has a lot of Hindu origins to it. So the Hindu stories, as they're told in India, they're definitely they descended into Indonesia as well. And this temple is it's an interesting temple because there's this old story of the Ramayana, and it's told in the carvings of this temple, and it's interesting because in these scenes, there's ape-like beings, and these ape-like beings, they're not only a character, they're not only featured in the story, they're a character in the story. They're upright, walking, talking creatures, and they have names and they have goals. And let's have a look at it.
Look at the body language here. Hanuman is shown on the ground with folded hands, a sign of respect, eagerly looking at Rama. However, Rama and his crew look reluctant to engage him in the conversation. They're looking away, and it appears as though they're not interested in talking to Hanuman. Why? Rama is preoccupied with redeeming Sinta. He does not want to be distracted by anything. But what does Hanuman want? In the next carving, we can see Hanuman and his friend taking Rama and his crew to meet the ape king. If you look carefully, you can see the body hair of these monkeys. You can see the individual strands of hair, not only on their legs and hands, but you can see how their hair runs on their heads. They have a small tuft of hair, a little bit elevated on top of their heads.
There you go. There's something that very much resembles the sagittal crest that we found at Paranthropus. And if you're already impressed by this, just wait until you find out that these specific upright walking ape-like creatures, they have engineering skills.
Next carving, we can see a bunch of monkeys holding large rocks in their hands. Look carefully, what are they doing? They're throwing these rocks into the ocean and are trying to build a bridge on the ocean. On the right, you can see an interesting phenomenon. Look into the mouths of these fishes. You can see rocks. These aquatic animals are also helping Rama by bringing stones for the construction of the bridge. You can see a variety of animals carved here, including a whale, a makara, which is possibly an extinct species, a shark, a seahorse, and a crab. There is a very strange animal floating on the top. What is that? Is that a mongoose? And why are all these animals chipping in? Because even today, this bridge is considered a sacred bridge. Yes, such a bridge actually exists between Sri Lanka and India even today. In India, this bridge is called Ram Setu, meaning Rama's bridge. But even Christians, Muslims, and Jews believe this is a sacred bridge and call it Adam's Bridge. It's quite interesting to see the aerial view of this bridge. You can see how it perfectly connects two countries. On top is India, and at the bottom is Lanka, and you can see how it looks very much like a man-made or an ape-made bridge.
There you go. So, they can walk on two legs, they can talk with the gods, they have a king amongst them, they can engineer a bridge. I mean, what else can these apes do?
They've finished building the bridge and they've now entered Lanka, the land of gold. But here, an ape is shown with a rope in his hand. On the other end of the rope, you can see a strange animal. What is that? It is a mongoose. I've shown you how ancient Hindus had a variety of pets: dogs, snakes, squirrels, owls, and a variety of birds. But here, the apes are taking mongooses as pets. Why would this detail be added here? Why would they need to keep mongooses as pets in Sri Lanka? The answer is shown right above the mongoose. You see, there are two venomous cobras ready to bite these apes and send them to heaven. Lanka is not only the land of gold, but it is also the land of snakes. Even today, it is estimated that 80,000 snake bites happen every year in Sri Lanka. And what was the ancient technique to save yourself from these snakes? Keep mongooses as pets. Having a mongoose can be a very effective way to fight snakes. They're very good at fighting snakes and kill as many snakes as possible. Remember, the apes found a floating mongoose while building the bridge, and they have now taken him as a pet to kill snakes.
Wow. Now here's an Australopithecus walking a mongoose for you. So, I mean, these apes, they seem to be able to do anything that we can do. So I don't think it's too far of a stretch to say that these creatures, they can ride horses, they can build complex structures, they could live in a complex society, they could have weapons, they can do gardening, they could prepare and store food. They might even be able to train eagles. And, you know, they might be able to store fish and to smoke them and do any kind of things that, you know, humans could do. So, yeah, it's if you look at history like this, then things all of a sudden become muddy. They become less clear, and you know, I am sure that there's a lot of people who will dislike me for throwing everything up in the air and to basically have everything come down and fall flat on all little puzzle pieces. But yeah, it's a puzzle.
Yes, it is a puzzle. I know.
Yeah, he knows. Now, all of this could be happening while humans were alive. And that brings us to the question, are these apes actually extinct? Because there's some modern footage that I want you to have a look at, and I want you to, come up with ideas of your own of what it is that you're looking at. But these are recent images. They're from 2013, 2015, and they're both in the country of Russia, which is a massive country. There's not a lot of people living there, but of course everybody carries a camera with them these days. So yeah, let's see what we can see.
In their film, the three friends follow a set of mystery footprints to the edge of a frozen lake, laughing and joking as they go. And then they see something extraordinary. A tall, dark, hairy figure that seems to see them and dart away.
Now, if that doesn't convince you, what do you think of this? Now, I know that the classic idea is that people say, well, these are just people faking it. It's easy to get famous like this, although I'm not quite sure what the money would be. I mean, there's if you just have one video of it, of a sighting, where's your income? Point me to that. And also, I want to know if you're wearing a suit, like a massive hairy suit. How can you make jumps like that? How can your suit extend your arms like that? I mean, that thing jumping over a log, that definitely looked like it had the big arms as an Australopithecus might have. And yeah, I kind of kept it short this time because there's lots more Bigfoot stories that could be told. But yeah, I wanted to keep it like this. I mean, I hope you appreciate all of the research that's went into this. And by the way, definitely go check out the new Planet of the Apes movies. I very much enjoyed it. Also, don't forget to leave a like. It really helps us out. We also need you to really push that subscribe button, because if we gonna make these episodes every day, we also need an audience, and that audience also I would like to interact with you guys. I would like to know what you guys think and how you guys look at this. And even if you disagree with me, that's okay. All in a good respect. So yeah, so let me know. And don't forget to go to organiccbd.com if you need any CBD products. Go there and enter the code Paradigm Shift. And we will get some benefit from it as well. You will get some benefit from the product, and yeah, we're all helping each other. So yeah, definitely go do all those things. If you like the show, if you want us to keep these subjects coming. And for now, we'll say goodbye, and we'll see you next week.